Hey guys, today we're making a video on closing, the sexiest word in sales. I've had a lot of people over my life come up to me and say, Royce, how do you close? What is the magic line that you say to close people? And I always find it really funny because really, closing is the easiest part of the sales process. If you've done the rest of the job right, getting the customer to want to buy from you should take no work at all. In fact, when you've actually gone through your sales process properly and you've identified the problem that your product or service solves and you've shown the buyer why they need it and how it's going to meet all of their requirements, generally what I find is that most buyers are looking to close themselves. So if you are having too many problems with closing, there's no magic word that's going to fix it. You can't just yell, Kalamazoo, and then the buyer's going to magically buy from you. It doesn't really work like that. So if you're finding that even after watching this video, these closing strategies aren't really helping too much, chances are you probably need to fix some other areas of your sales process. And luckily, we've got a ton of other videos on that, so I'm sure you'll be able to find more than enough to get that part working. But let's get into the topic of today, which is closing, because there are still going to be some times where the buyer's not necessarily just begging to give you their money. You do need to push them across that line a little bit. Now, with closing, there are some closing strategies that I love and some closing strategies that I hate. And today we're going to get into both of them. So what is the first closing strategy that I cannot stand? Well, that would have to be the Ask the Manager close. What is the Ask the Manager close? Fairly simply, it's when you're getting a little bit of pushback on the price from your prospect and you tell them that you either need to put them on hold or go and speak to the manager to get them a discount on your offer. Now, why do I hate this so much? Well, at best, it's transparent. Every prospect's dealt with this before. They know what you're doing. They know there's either no manager or that you could provide this discount without having to speak to them, and that you're probably just wasting time. At worst, it makes it look like you're not enough of a professional to make a simple decision. Think about it for a second. Would you want to deal with someone that has to get a panel together every time they need to make a simple pricing decision? Probably not. And your prospect doesn't want to either. So at the end of the day, there are still going to be some times where you have to use this close. So let's go through how to use it effectively. Well, first, we need to go through the two specific things that need to be there if this close is necessary. The first thing is you need to be working for a company that legitimately does not allow you to make a discounting decision without speaking to them. If you work for a company that allows you to discount without speaking to management, don't speak to management. There's no point. You're wasting everyone's time if you do, okay? The other thing that you want to understand is whether or not the price is their real objection. A lot of times people will use price as a fake objection to get salespeople to go away because they think that if they tell you they can't afford it, you'll go, this isn't worth it, right? And they're probably right a lot of the time. But what you want to do is make sure that there's no other objections that are standing in the way. And so usually I'd say something like this. Look, Mr. Customer, I understand that you can't afford this. The product costs $1,000 and that is the price that everybody else buys it for. But I also understand that you need this price brought down for you to actually purchase it. Now, unfortunately, I work for a company where I have to speak to management if I want that price brought down. So I just want to make sure with you that if I'm going to go and spend the time speaking to them and you're going to have to wait on all of this, that you are actually looking to buy this. The furthest I've been able to see them bring this price down to is about $800. If I could bring the price down to $800 for you, would you be buying the product today? And then if he says yes, great. Go to management, ask them for the discount. Be prepared that when you come back, he still may say no, okay? But at least when they do say no, you're able to say, what the hell, man? I had the conversation with you. You said you were going to buy it. Why would you make me go and ask management when I didn't have to, right? Generally, if you ask them the question specifically up front, they'll tell you the truth. If price isn't their real objection and they know you're actually about to speak to management to bring the price down, they'll tell you what their other objection is. They'll say they need more time to think about it or they need to speak to someone or whatever the case is, right? So you really want to clarify that if you do bring the price down, that they'd be looking to move forward today, and only do this, once again, if your company makes you go to management to get a discount. So next we have the now or never close. what is the now or never close? The now or never close is the pressure sale of all pressure sales. And if you know me at all, you'll know I hate pressure selling people. So with the now or never close, essentially what you're doing is telling someone that if they don't buy what you're selling today, they're going to face some sort of negative consequences. Buy my product today, or all of your friends will hate you, for example. It's ridiculous. Don't use it. I hate it. Why do I hate it so much? Well, once again, it's super transparent. Any buyer worth their salt knows that there's no life or death situation that is going to be created by them not buying your product today. Their life was relatively fine up until this point. It's probably going to be fine tomorrow if they don't buy from you, right? And while you may potentially push some people into a sale, there's a few problems. One is you're going to have a ton of churn. So many of these people are going to cancel their service or get a refund on their product soon. And a lot of the people that probably would have bought your product a week from now, they're never buying from you. So I really don't recommend you use this close. However, there is one circumstance when you're going to have to. And that is when there legitimately is a promotion that is on the last day. This is the only time when you should ever use this. And I would usually say it's something like this. Look, Mr. Customer, before I go into this, I want you to understand that I'm not a pressure salesperson and I hate pressure selling people. But what I'm about to say is going to sound like a real pressure sale. We've just had a promotion running for the last couple of weeks, and today legitimately is the last day. Now, you don't have to buy it today. In fact, if you buy it tomorrow at the regular price, it's still a great deal. But if you do buy it today, you do get the extra added benefit of getting 20% off or whatever it is. And my goal is to show you all of the potential value of making a decision. Right? So if you frame it up that way, at least the prospect knows that you don't feel comfortable about going out of this route. You're not trying to pressure them into a decision. If they buy it tomorrow, there's still a ton of value. They're still getting a good deal, but you're just being straightforward and honest with them. And, in that case, they may say, you know what, I was planning on buying it a week from now, but because of the fact that there is actually this deal, I'll go ahead. All right, so the third and final closing technique that I despise is the trial close. The trial close, while I don't really consider it to be a real closing technique, I still hate it. It's basically just probing the customer with questions to understand whether or not they're actually interested at all. You might say things like, could you see ways that this would potentially benefit your life? Or are you liking what you're seeing so far? Right? Now, why do I hate this so much? At the end of the day, I just find that these types of questions are generally pointless. And you're also giving the prospect unnecessary avenues to back out of the discussion. If I do have to deliver some sort of closing line, I want to make sure I've expressed all the value, shown the problem that my offer solves, and explained how this product or service is going to be implemented into my prospect's life. I want to make it so that when I take my one shot, the time is right, they understand all the value, and they're in the best frame of mind to say yes. Priming them with these types of questions ahead of time can introduce doubt and can make it so that they are less likely to buy from you. At least that's what I've found. For me, people that are using trial close type questions just don't understand their own sales process enough yet. So if this is you, I would really recommend going through all of the parts that lead you up to your close. Make sure they're optimal first and should eliminate any need for these silly trial close questions. Now, with that being said, when should you use the trial close? Just don't. There's never a good enough time. Once again, just go back, fix the rest of your sales process. You don't need to have these types of questions. All right, so let's get into the closing strategies that I believe are actually useful and enjoyable for all parties involved. So the first one, this is one of my favorites, is the assumptive close. What is the assumptive close? Well, it's when you're asking questions or making statements towards the end of the deal that assume that the deal is already going through. Now, why is this useful? I find that this makes it so that your buyer feels super comfortable in that closing process. They're not having to ask any sort of closed-in questions or anything like that. You're just guiding them through the process that they would already be going through if they were going to be buying. If they do buy, easy. If they don't want to buy, they will let you know before they've given you their money. I guarantee it. So how do we use the assumptive close effectively? Well, when you're ready to start them on their buyer's process, you might ask a question like, what email address should we send the receipt to? Or are we using Visa or MasterCard for this purchase? Or what address would you like this delivered to? These are questions that you would only ever ask if the person was already willing to buy. So if you feel like the prospect is ready to make their purchase, you don't need to say, are you ready to make this purchase? Just start helping them get their purchase completed, right? That's the beauty of this close, is that it's very painless, the customer doesn't feel awkward, and you're just helping them get what they need done. All right, so next we have one of my other favorite closes, the yes close. Now, what is the yes close? Also known as the yes ladder or the yes set. It's basically when you get your prospect into a momentum of saying yes by asking a few easy, quick, close-ended questions right before you deliver your final closing line. Now, why is it useful? Well, other than the fact that getting people into a yes momentum psychologically preps them to say yes when you do deliver that final closing line, if you use it the way that I do, then you also get to make sure that any potential objections that they would have are knocked away right before you deliver that closing line. If they do say no to any of the questions that I'm about to show you, then you know that you have more work to do in your sales process with that prospective buyer before you try to close them. And while this may sound sort of like the trial close, it's really not. This is just making sure right at the end that you've covered all your bases and you're ready to actually deliver that last line. So how do we use the yes close effectively? Well, I generally preface my finishing line with 3 specific questions that let me know that the buyer is ready to go ahead. And they go like this. Do you understand how this solution works properly? Yes. Do you see how this offer solves your problem? Yes. Does the price of our offer meet your budget? Yes. Great. And let's get it started. And that's how you do the yes close. So last closing technique that we're going to go over today, guys, is the alternative close. This is probably one of my favorites. And very simply, it's when you give someone 2 options that both end in you getting a sale. Now, why is it useful? Well, the first thing is you're not giving them the option of saying no, which is generally fantastic. But the other reason why you may find this really useful is when you have a couple of solutions that could both work for a client and you know that they can't afford to do both. So I've sold digital marketing services for years. One of the ways that I might have used this previously would be, so did you want to go with the search engine optimization package or the social media marketing package? Right? Very simply, they may not have been able to afford all of that exposure, but they know they need to do something online. So rather than saying, do you want to go with the social media package and giving them the option to say no to that, I've given them 2 options that both work, that both meet their budget, and they could choose to go with either one and it's going to help them be successful. Other ways that you might use this alternative close would be things like, would you prefer the blue car or the red car? Did you want the Panasonic or the Sony? All of these types of things are going to give the customer a couple of different options that they can choose over, neither of which is a no. Fairly standard. These are all the closing techniques that I love. These are the closing techniques that I hate. Use the ones I love. Don't use the ones that I hate unless you have to. And I hope you really enjoyed this video. And I hope you have a great day. Keep crushing this month's commission and I'll see you next time. Bye guys. If you like this video on closing techniques, check out our video on objection handling. When you've tried to close too early and you're getting those objections, this should be able to help you and we're going to put it right here. Have a great day, guys.